Artificial intelligence, once the stuff of science fiction, is now a powerful force reshaping the modern workplace, especially for white-collar professionals. Over the past 2 years, the acceleration of AI technologies has moved from theoretical disruption to a tangible, measurable impact on employment, job security, and the future of work. Nowhere is this shift more evident than in the white-collar sector, where the adoption of generative AI tools is rapidly automating tasks once thought to require uniquely human intellect. The story begins in late 2022 with the public release of generative AI models like ChatGPT and others. These tools, capable of composing emails, generating code, drafting reports, and even making business decisions, quickly became integrated into the daily operations of companies worldwide. At first, the promise was alluring. AI would enhance productivity, take over repetitive drudgery, and free up professionals to focus on higher-level creative work. But as the months passed, a sobering reality set in. AI wasn't just helping white-collar workers, it was replacing them. A recent Stanford University study provides some of the most compelling evidence to date. Researchers analyzed the employment patterns in industries most exposed to generative AI, such as software development, customer service, and administrative support. The findings are stark. Since the adoption of these advanced AI tools in 2022, employment among young professionals aged 22 to 25 in AI-exposed industries declined by 6%. In contrast, older white-collar workers in these fields saw their employment increase by as much as 9%. Why this generational divide? Younger workers, often new hires or those in entry-level positions, are the most vulnerable to automation. Their roles, typically consisting of routine tasks, documentation, and basic communications, are precisely the functions AI systems now excel at. As a result, companies are finding it more cost-effective to let AI handle these duties, bypassing the need for junior employees. This trend isn't isolated. According to a Goldman Sachs analysis, since the introduction of ChatGPT in November 2022, the unemployment rate for 20 to 30-year-olds in the tech sector has risen by almost 3%. This uptick is not a blip. It's a sign of a deeper structural shift. AI is no longer nibbling at the edges of white-collar work. It's biting off sizable chunks, particularly among the youngest and most inexperienced workers. Industry leaders are sounding the alarm. Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, one of the world's leading AI research firms, recently warned that up to 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs could be eliminated by AI in the near term. He predicts U.S. unemployment could soar to between 10% and 20% within the next 1 to 5 years, a level not seen in generations. Amodei's concerns are echoed by analysts who note that the pace of AI-driven automation is only accelerating, fueled by relentless improvements in language models, machine learning, and data processing. The effects are already rippling through major corporations. Companies like IBM and Microsoft have made headlines for implementing AI-driven layoffs, particularly in departments like human resources and software engineering. These are not small-scale adjustments. They represent a broad rethinking of how companies allocate labor. For example, IBM has paused hiring for roles it believes can soon be automated, while Microsoft has reorganized teams and trimmed staff in areas where AI can handle core tasks. What's striking is that these changes are happening not just in technology companies, but across industries, from finance and law to marketing and healthcare. For many white-collar professionals, the ground beneath their feet is shifting. Tasks that once seemed indispensable, drafting legal briefs, managing schedules, writing code, or responding to client queries, are now within AI's reach. The result is a growing sense of insecurity, as workers realize that their jobs may not be as future-proof as once believed. The numbers tell a sobering story. In fields like software development and customer service, where generative AI can rapidly produce code or handle large volumes of requests, the displacement of young workers is particularly acute. The Stanford study reveals that among newly hired employees in these sectors, those aged 22 to 25 are being let go at a far higher rate than their older counterparts. Meanwhile, those who remain are often expected to work alongside AI, overseeing or correcting its output, rather than performing tasks themselves. This transformation raises critical questions about the nature of white-collar work. For decades, these jobs were seen as a safe harbor from automation, insulated by their reliance on problem-solving, communication, and judgment. But AI's rapid mastery of language, logic, and pattern recognition is challenging this assumption. The very skills that once set white-collar professionals apart are now being mimicked, and in some cases, surpassed by machines. The implications for society are profound. If current trends continue, millions of entry-level and early career jobs could vanish across the globe. For young professionals, this means fewer opportunities to gain experience, build networks, and climb the corporate ladder. It also threatens to widen generational divides, as older workers with established careers adapt more easily, while newcomers find themselves shut out. Some companies are attempting to adapt rather than simply automate. There is a growing recognition that AI, while powerful, is not infallible. It can generate plausible-sounding mistakes, misunderstand context, or fail to grasp nuance. As a result, new roles are emerging in areas such as AI ethics, human-AI collaboration, data storytelling, and algorithm oversight. These positions require a blend of technical literacy and human judgment, offering a potential lifeline to displaced workers. However, these new roles are far from sufficient to absorb the scale of job losses predicted. Experts argue that a significant reskilling effort is needed, both at the level of companies and society as a whole. Workers who once relied on traditional white-collar skills must now learn to work alongside AI, mastering new tools, and adopting a mindset of lifelong learning. At the same time, the psychological impact of AI-driven job loss should not be underestimated. For many, employment is not just a source of income, but a cornerstone of identity and self-worth. The prospect of being replaced by a machine can lead to anxiety, stress, and a loss of confidence. This is particularly true for young professionals who have only recently entered the workforce and now face the prospect of their chosen careers vanishing before they have even begun. Policymakers are beginning to grapple with these challenges. Some countries are exploring options such as universal basic income, job retraining programs, and incentives for companies that preserve human employment. Others are considering regulations to slow the pace of automation or to ensure that AI is deployed in ways that augment rather than replace human workers. But the pace of technological change often outstrips the ability of governments to respond, leaving many workers caught in the crossfire. Looking ahead, the relationship between AI and white-collar work is likely to grow even more complex. On one hand, AI offers the potential to dramatically increase productivity, reduce costs, and open up new frontiers of innovation. On the other, it threatens to displace millions, particularly those in the early stages of their careers or in roles most easily automated. The challenge is to find a balance, leveraging AI's strengths while preserving the dignity and livelihood of human workers. This will require a concerted effort from business leaders, educators, policymakers, and workers themselves. It means rethinking education to emphasize skills that complement AI, such as critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence. It means designing jobs that harness the best of both human and machine capabilities. And it means fostering a culture of adaptation, where change is seen not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. Yet, even with these efforts, the reality is clear. AI is fundamentally altering the landscape of white-collar employment. The displacement of young workers, the rise in unemployment, and the shifting expectations of what it means to have a safe job are all part of a larger, ongoing transformation. For those entering the workforce today, the message is both sobering and urgent. The era of guaranteed white-collar stability is over. Success in the age of AI will require not only technical skills, but also adaptability, resilience, and a willingness to reinvent oneself repeatedly. The winners will be those who can navigate this new terrain, learning to work with machines, seizing new opportunities, and continually finding ways to add unique human value. In sum, the rapid advance of artificial intelligence is destroying traditional patterns of white-collar work and creating a new reality in which job security can no longer be taken for granted. The statistics are clear, the warnings are dire, and the need for action is urgent. As AI continues to evolve, the choices we make today will shape the workforce of tomorrow, determining not only who works, but how, why, and to what end. The future of white-collar employment hangs in the balance, and with it, the hopes and aspirations of a generation.